Following the United States Congress' decision to support the Nigerian government in logistics to recover the more than 200 girls abducted in the dead of night from their school in a remote village of Chibok in the northeastern part of Nigeria, state and federal representatives, spiritual and community leaders gathered on the steps of City Hall in New York to show solidarity in the efforts to rescue the girls believed to have been kidnapped by Boko Haram.
The United Nations says no in the Ukraine, well, they better say no here to what's going on in Nigeria. Because this is intolerable, because I am Nigerian. It is my children. I am Nigerian. Bring back out.
Countries like the United Kingdom, China, and France joined in with neighboring countries in the region like Niger, Cameroon, Benin, and Chad, also asking and taking part in efforts to offer logistics.
That we stand firmly behind the return of each and every one of those girls that were captured. National development.
We're going to stand in prayer, we're going to stand in faith, and we are confident very, very soon our girls are going to be brought back. Bring back our girls! Bring back!
I also want to speak to you about an issue of great significance to me as First Lady, and more importantly, as the mother of 2 young daughters. Like millions of people across the globe, my husband and I are outraged and heartbroken over the kidnapping of more than 200 Nigerian girls from their school dormitory in the middle of the night. This unconscionable act was committed by a terrorist group determined to keep these girls from getting an education. Grown men attempting to snuff out the aspirations of young girls. And I want you to know that Barack has directed our government to do everything possible to support the Nigerian government's efforts to find these girls and bring them home. In these girls, Barack and I see our own daughters. We see their hopes and their dreams. And we can only imagine the anguish their parents are feeling right now. The girls themselves also knew full well the dangers they might encounter. Their school had recently been closed due to terrorist threats, but these girls still insisted on returning to take their exam. And what happened in Nigeria was not an isolated incident. It is a story we see every day as girls around the world risk their lives to pursue their ambitions. It's the story of girls like Malala Yousafzai from Pakistan. Malala spoke out for girls' education in her community, and as a result, she was shot in the head by a Taliban gunman while on a school bus with her classmates. But fortunately, Malala survived. The courage and hope embodied by Malala and girls like her around the world should serve as a call to action. Because right now, more than 65 million girls worldwide are not in school. Yet we know that girls who are educated make higher wages, lead healthier lives, and have healthier families. And when more girls attend secondary school, that boosts their country's entire economy. So I hope the story of these Nigerian girls will serve as an inspiration for every girl and boy in this country.
No for sale! No for sale! No for sale! No!
Crowds like these from New York to London rallied yesterday demanding that the terrorist group Boko Haram bring back our girls, imploring the Nigerian government to take some sort of action.
You know, that phrase is now becoming a call for action, bring back our girls, has ignited across social media, calling attention to a story that has been largely overlooked for a couple of weeks, at least.
Well, what we know is that supposedly Boko Haram, which is a Muslim fundamentalist group, on the 15th of April came into a school at night and captured these 270 or so girls. That's what we do know. Now, the word Boko Haram in Hausa, the Nigerian dialect, actually means Western education is sin. So you ask why they took these girls. Well, first of all, they abduct them to convert them to fundamentalist Islamic teachings, to cook for them, to clean for them, and sometimes even to marry them. And Victor, you and I were talking about the headline that says girls sold for $12. Well, it's not actually accurate. What historically has happened to these girls is, let's say they're abducted by the militants. A militant will decide, okay, this girl I want to marry, so to speak. He will then pay the group leader 2,000 naira, which is about $12, to own her. There's also some political ramification to the abduction because this destabilizes the Southern Christian government of President Goodluck Jonathan. So many reasons. Now, I do need to tell you, Boko Haram has not yet taken responsibility for this. We assume it is them. They took responsibility for the Abuja bombings that happened just 24 hours before the abductions in the so-called DC of Nigeria. A metro station was bombed. They haven't yet claimed responsibility for this, but we assume, and the Nigerian government is assuming that it is.
The leader of the militant Islamist group responsible for their abduction appeared in a new video. As Deborah Pata reports, he's mocking the international campaign to free those girls.
The global social media campaign to bring the over 200 schoolgirls safely back home has been met with scorn and derision in this new video rant from Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau.
Bring back our girls. Oh, bring back our army. Bring back our army. Jonathan, girl, Christian, bring back our army.
Bring back our army refers to Boko Haram's demand for a prisoner swap in exchange for the kidnapped girls. Negotiations for their release have stalled, but it's hoped they could be revived again. The last proof of life of the kidnapped girls was a video released by Boko Haram 2 months ago. The latest taunting video is being seen as a direct snub to Malala Yousafzai, the young Pakistani girl shot by the Taliban for daring to seek an education. She visited the parents of the abducted girls over the weekend and will meet privately with President Jonathan.
And you just want your daughters back, you want your girls back. So I would love to hear from you as well, so I can take your message and tell it to the president.
Sources who've been close to the negotiations tell CBS News that the Nigerian government has all but ruled out military intervention because there are fears that it could backfire and result in the deaths of the kidnapped.
Boko Haram, you just talked about the leader of Boko Haram. What did you make of the swaggering, glib, gleeful laughter of this leader when he just sort of appeared, face uncovered, to the world and said he was going to sell these girls? Just give me your impression psychologically of what he's up to.
Most bullies, whether on a small scale or on a national or international scale, they bluster, they do more of the same thing when they spy a community, it's a nation or a state, which is on its knees, which doesn't confront them directly. It's a normal condition.
So he's laughing.
Yes, if you remember, when the first, well, not the first, I don't even know how far back one should go.
Well, it's been going on for a long time. The world suddenly got interested because this is 276 girls who were taken all at
killers.
Now, with these girls, the longer this goes on, the fact that it's so public now, what do you think is going to happen to these girls? Are they all together? Do you think? Have they been split up? Will they be sold? What do you think? I know nobody knows.
I made a statement during the World Book Fair in which I said, confront the reality. It's painful, it's horrifying. I said, these girls are going to be sold as sex slaves. I used that expression. I said, let's not beat around the bush. We're dealing with a monstrosity. We're dealing with an affliction the like of which the nation has never encountered. Understand that you must go in quickly. You must act rapidly because these girls are going to be traumatized in a way in which is going to blast the rest of their lives. When they're retrieved, I said, start getting ready. Experts who will assist them psychologically to get over this.
You probably remember the 200 schoolgirls who were kidnapped by Islamic militants in Nigeria. Well, hope of finding them diminished even further today. Back in April, their plight was a sensation with pleas for their release or rescue from all over the world. First Lady Michelle Obama and Hollywood celebrities joined that chorus. What became of all of that? Deborah Pata found out.
There's been no trace of the kidnapped schoolgirls for nearly 7 months now. Despite Nigeria's assurances, a rescue operation was underway. Boko Haram leader Abu Bakr Shekau has released a new video mocking any attempts to find them. We have married them off, he said. They are all in their marital homes. The girls were abducted from their school on the eve of their final exams. It sparked a worldwide campaign for their release. Under immense pressure, the Nigerian government made a surprise announcement over 2 weeks ago that a truce had been reached. An end to Boko Haram's reign of violence and a return of the girls to their desperate families. But Shekau emphatically states there never was a truce. Only battle, he said, hitting, striking and killing with a gun. In July, a former negotiator told us, imagine the worst, and it has happened.
Today, 1 year on, has the world forgotten about the kidnapped Chibok schoolgirls? Our digital producer Malika Bilal has been following what's happening online. Malika?
Thanks, Femi. Well, it certainly seems like people may have forgotten, judging by Twitter mentions of that once viral hashtag, Bring Back Our Girls. Well, the girls were kidnapped on April 14th, and the hashtag only started to gain momentum at the end of the month. In May, it had more than 4 million mentions as world attention focused on the plight of the girls. But the following month, it took a drastic dip, with its lowest point in November at 56,000 mentions. And now in 2015, it's nowhere near where it was, with only 25,000 uses in the first week of April.
Has the Nigerian government abandoned the kidnapped Chibok schoolgirls? April the 14th marks 1 year since more than 270 students were abducted from their school by Boko Haram. 59 managed to escape as they were being driven away, but the rest remain missing. Rumors they've been married off, sold, or even killed have made the rounds, and relatives are accusing officials of giving up on the search. Now, the government says they are making advances against Boko Haram and recapturing towns and villages across the north, but still no leads on the girls' whereabouts. Has the world forgotten them, or will this anniversary revitalize the hunt and help bring back the missing?
I'm mad as hell at myself, and mad as hell at a lot of other people, including the First Lady Michelle Obama. Remember when she held up this sign? It reads, hashtag Bring Back Our Girls, a social media campaign aimed at trying to rescue more than 270 Nigerian schoolgirls who were kidnapped in April of 2014 by that vicious terror group Boko Haram. Now, the social media campaign was huge, it was trendy, and many people jumped on board with tweets galore. And then what happened? Nothing. The First Lady promised to help, but walked away. Was this all just a big stunt? Because 218 of those girls are still missing, many now dead, many sold to Islamic jihadists as wives. No, really as sex slaves. So yes, I'm mad as hell at myself for not keeping up the pressure with my platform, and mad as hell at First Lady Michelle Obama, and mad as hell at anyone.
On April 14th of 2014, more than 270 schoolgirls were kidnapped as they were studying for their final exams in northern Nigeria. Most of those girls have yet to be rescued. A few of them actually managed to escape. A few weeks after the kidnapping, the anti-human trafficking organization that I run, Unlikely Heroes, was asked to bring a team of counselors to Nigeria to provide counseling, medical care, grief, trauma services, and everything that the escaped girls and many of the mothers who were still awaiting the return of their children would need so that they could move forward after this tragedy. When I arrived in Nigeria, it was actually the height of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. The world was shouting that we would not stand or tolerate the kidnapping of more than 270 girls. And we were demanding action from governments and from presidents worldwide. Celebrities got involved. Globally, we used our voices, we used our platforms, we used our social media to raise up a shout and to say, bring the girls home. Government sent troops, people got involved, but soon the hashtag started to wane. Soon we stopped using our Instagrams and our Facebook and our Twitter. And what we noticed on the ground is that as soon as the collective voice of us, of you and of me and of every student and every celebrity cheering out and crying, saying we need to see the return of these girls, as soon as that waned, the hope of the girls being rescued vanished along with the hashtag. When I returned to Los Angeles and I began to talk to people and I let them know of the effect that their cries on social media had had in applying direct pressure on the ground to see the girls returned, people were
It's the moment they've waited and hoped for since April 2014, when they were kidnapped from the northern town of Chibok by Boko Haram fighters. The girls were released as part of a prisoner swap deal for 5 Boko Haram commanders.
So today we are rejoicing, enjoying with our daughter. I thank God for this very wonderful success and privilege.
The deal was facilitated by the Swiss government after lengthy negotiations involving the armed group, the Nigerian government and non-governmental organizations. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to continue negotiations until all of the 276 schoolgirls kidnapped are released. Many of the schoolgirls are suffering from the effects of their experience at the hands of their captors. Campaigners say they'll need support to overcome the physical and mental trauma they've endured.
It is going to take some time for us to begin to now have them reconditioned back to this society. And that brings in the question of the whole reintegration, resocialization and rehabilitation that is needed for the girls alongside their own parents.
For these families, their 3-year-long ordeal is finally over. But 113 schoolgirls remain captive. It's not clear where they are or how soon they might be allowed.
After more than a month in captivity, the schoolgirls were brought to Maiduguri to meet government ministers who'd helped negotiate their release. Many of them are suffering from the effects of their experience. Earlier, parents who'd spent weeks anxiously waiting for news celebrated their daughter's return. 16-year-old Aisha Derry was among those kidnapped from school by Boko Haram fighters last month.
We could hear lots of gunshots in the air. We were totally confused. Some Boko Haram people entered through a school gate and we started to run. They asked us to stop running or they would shoot us. We got into some trucks and they took us away.
Boko Haram fighters dropped the girls in the centre of Dapchi early on Wednesday. This isn't the first time schoolgirls have been abducted in Nigeria. There was international outrage in 2014 when more than 270 girls were kidnapped from Chibok. Many of them are still missing. Aisha Derry's father is just grateful his daughter is safe.
Initially, when I heard from him... At first, when I heard the news, I was waiting for confirmation. Then I found out the children were coming home. After 10 minutes, the town was crowded with people celebrating and praying. People were really happy.
Much needed time with their families will have to wait. The next stop for these girls is the capital, Abuja, at a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari.
On April 14, 2014, the Boko Haram terrorists came into my town, my hometown, Chibok, at night while everyone was asleep. They were shooting guns while coming to our town. I was sleeping and haven't heard of it. My friend waked me up and said, "Joy, can't you hear what is going on?" I said, "No," and I went back to sleep. She said, "Get up, we cannot go to sleep. Something is wrong. The Boko Haram people are here." And she said, "Listen." And I listened to the voices, and I can hear them shouting and shooting guns outside. I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "The Boko Haram terrorists are here." And we were all freaked out. We got up and we were praying for our families because I didn't grow up there, even though I was born there. So I just hear like stories that whenever they visit families, they kill like the men and then kidnap the women, or kill the men and then leave. So I was praying, we were all praying for our families to get to a safe place because they were all around the town. And while we were deciding on what to do, we were all like, some of us said we should just run out, and some of us said we should climb the walls and get out. But some of us said we are not allowed to leave the school, so we should just stay. We were still deciding on what to do, and a man just came in. We all were scared, so we started to kind of run, and he's like, "No, you shouldn't run. I'm just here to protect all of you, so there is nothing wrong. I'm here to protect you from what is going on outside." While we were sitting in front of the gate, they were burning the school, the offices, they burned every single building in the school, and they came to us. And one of the leaders said they should go and get trucks. And my own thought was like, okay, since they don't kill women, then they're gonna let us go if they're done doing whatever they're doing. So, and then they asked us to start going out. We all walked out, and they're showing our direction for us to go to. And I'm like, okay, are they not letting us go? In my heart, I was like, okay, they're taking us away since they're pointing a direction for us to follow. And all of us went with them. I do not want to die. I want to go continue my studying. And in that hostel, in our dorms, they told us never to go to school again. And because they said never to go to school again, my own thought was, okay, they're going to let us go then still, since they don't want us to go back to school. But it wasn't like that. They were taking us away. We helped each other in order to climb the truck. There was a small-sized women car that we have to climb in order to enter the truck because it was really tall and huge. So we helped each other. They said, if you want to die, you go to the left, and if you want to leave, you go into the truck. So no one wants to die. Everyone was trying to go into the truck, and all of us climbed the trucks. At the end, in that same truck, I was like, I prayed and asked God to please save me and to please let me see my families again. I do not want to go with those people. And to my surprise, something got into me and said, you should jump out. And like, I looked down at the truck was still moving. I looked down, and it was, the truck is, when you look down, it's scary because the trucks move and the truck is still tall. So I'm like, no way, I'm not gonna make it. So at the end, I said, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm gonna make it or not, I'm going to jump out. If I die here, it's better for my family to find my cops and then go with those people and didn't know what they're going to do with me. So I'm like, I'm going to jump out no matter what. So I convinced my friend, because she wasn't going to do it. She knows if they see her, they're going to shoot us. So she's like, they're going to kill us. I'm not going to risk it. I'm like, it's okay, let's do it. It's fine. We better die than go with them. So she's like, okay, sure. And we jumped out, but we ran. When I jumped out, I fell with my stomach. So I got up and started running to the bush. When she saw that, okay, I was okay, so she jumped out as well. And then, but we ran through different directions. We didn't got home together. While I was running in the bush, I met two of my classmates who also jumped out. I screamed because I thought they were the Boko Haram people who came to get me back. So we continued running together. From there, while we were running for hours and hours, we didn't sleep, and a motorcycle man was passing by and we asked him to please take us home. He said he's not going to take us home without knowing who we are. So we said, okay, we didn't trust from that time on. We didn't trust anyone. We didn't want to tell him who we are because we are scared. We didn't trust him. So I'm like, no, we shouldn't tell him who we are. Some of us said we have to tell him in order for him to help us. We need help. We cannot continue running like this. Our feet are all bloody because the bush was a thorny bush. So it scratched our skin and everything. And they're like, we have to get help. So we gave up at the end. We told him who we are. And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? So he took us back to Chibok. And while we went back to Chibok, parents from the schools went to the school and look, there are no students, and everyone is crying, where are the students? When they saw us, they gathered around, where are the rest of the girls? We're like, we jumped out of the truck, we don't know. Some of them jump out as well, so I don't know if your kids are in it, if your daughter is in it, but we don't know, so they might get back. So be patient, and we just comfort them, everyone is crying. And 2 congresswomen from the United States, Congress Wilson and Joyce, they went to Nigeria to hear the story from us because they have been hearing like a little bit of the story. They don't know the complete story. So they went to Nigeria to hear from the students who escaped. And that was how she looked for a scholarship here for us to continue our studies. And I didn't want it to continue studying because of what they said at that time. But when I was accepted in Grundy, Virginia, I'm like, okay, I want to become a doctor, save lives. Then if I do not go to school, that is not going to be possible. So I have to go to school. I'm thinking of making that decision while I'm still thinking at the voice that says, do not go to school, or else wherever you go, do not think you're safe. We're going to get you. So that voice is still there, and I'm still deciding. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to go to school no matter what. So I'm not giving up my dreams. I'm going. And that was how I made the decision of coming here to continue my study.
Remember, April 14th, 2014, 276 female students were kidnapped by Boko Haram from a government secondary school in Chibok, Nigeria. The incident outraged so many all over the world, igniting prominent figures to demand that the girls be brought back to safety. As of today, 100 students are still missing, but survivors Joy Bashara and Lydia Pogu were among the few who were able to escape. And just last week, 7 years and 16 days after their kidnapping and their harrowing escape, we are so happy to say that Joy and Lydia were able to celebrate a momentous occasion. Yes, their graduation from college, Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida. And there you see Joy and Lydia here today to share their powerful story. First of all, congratulations to you both. What an incredible accomplishment. You know, here was a group that was trying to stop women, stop girls from getting educated, and now you two both have college degrees. So I am so proud and so happy for. How did you make that transition back from being in the most frightening moment of your life to trying to get back to some sort of normalcy?
After I jumped out, I personally decided that I'm not going to go back to school anymore because they advise us that wherever we go, they're going to find us. So I was under the impression that, okay, like school is no longer in my picture because if I go to school, they're going to find me. So I decided to just stay with my parents until we got called, Joe and I, to come to American Embassy to talk to, you know, Congress Federal Wilson and Congress Joy, right? Yeah, to talk to her. That was how I was able to change my mind to come here because they did tell us that, oh, America is a safe country. Nobody's going to come and kidnap us and all of that. That was how I was able to, you know, reconsider my decision. But on top of that, before that decision, my parents and I, actually all of the people in Chibok, will have to leave the town by 6 p.m. to go out to the bush to go sleep because people were under the impression that the Boko Haram will come back again.
just hear like stories that whenever they visit families, they kill like the men and then kidnap the women, or kill the men and then leave. One of the leaders said they should go and get trucks, and my own thought was like, okay, since they don't kill women, then they're gonna let us go if they're done doing whatever they're doing. In that hostel, in our dorms, they told us never to go to school again. And because they said never to go to school again, my own thought was, okay, they're going to let us go then still, since they don't want us to go back to school.
It's been going on for a long time. The world suddenly got interested because this is 276 girls who were taken all.
This is what's left of the boarding school after the suspected Islamist militants came at night to kill and destroy. They targeted the boys' dormitory, which was still smouldering the morning after. At least 29 teenage students were shot, cut down, or consumed by the fire here. Many parents were unable to identify their loved ones, who were burnt beyond recognition. The female students were set free, with a message to go and get married and give up school. The militant group Boko Haram opposes secular education.